Welcome to Prime 9, the countdown show that covers the very best in baseball. Guaranteed to start arguments, not end them. This week, it's the 9 greatest infields. Why 9? That's baseball. 9 players, 9 innings, Prime 9. What you're about to see are the 9 greatest infields from the modern era.
Hoyer on to Skowron.
And although some of these infields were together for quite a while,
They go to second, 1 out, over to third, double play.
our results are predicated more on their performance in a single season.
Harvey's Wallbangers, the Milwaukee Brewers.
Keep in mind that we did not count catchers for this show.
Bench drawing, they got it.
No, these infields were judged by the men at first, second, third, and short.
Oh, look at that pickup!
And all 4 of them had to bring something to the table.
Jackson's long hit to center is good for a single and a score's out.
With both fielding and especially hitting serving as our barometers.
Home run, Derek Jeter.
So let's check out the game's greatest infield since 1901, beginning with number 9 on Prime 9. When the Dodgers won 4 pennants and a World Series between 1974 and 81, one thing never changed.
All the success that we had during those years, the one constant was basically the 4 guys in the infield.
They had Ronce at third, Lopes was playing second, Russell was at short, and then, of course, they had Steve Garvey at first base. Such a solid infield. I mean, if you were coming up in the minor leagues in the Dodgers knowing you were going to play the infield, you weren't going to play.
For 8 seasons, these 4 men manned the Dodger infield, the longest such stretch in big league history. And they were all mentored by the same manager in the minors.
Tom Lasorda was with us a lot. He threw batting practice to us, fungoed us ground balls, hit us fly balls, ran us around the park.
Come on, Jack! Come on, Tiger! Jack, come on! Stay up!
Once they reached the show, this quartet had many successful seasons, but 1978 topped them all.
Davey Lopes was the catalyst, the team captain.
There goes one deep to left center field. It's another one. Davey Lopes with his second home run.
Very fine player, great competitor, outstanding quickness and speed.
There he goes. He's safe.
Billy Russell, converted outfielder. He was clutch man Billy. When we need a base hit, we were very happy to see Billy Russell up there. He was going to get a hit anywhere on the field.
Base hit to center field, and the Dodgers have taken a 6-5 lead in the 9th.
Steve Garvey was a very durable, outstanding player. Offense was his strength.
Steve Garvey goes all the way to third base, and the Dodgers lead 2-0.
Ronce, man, he could carry a club by himself. I mean, he did it. This guy could hit that ball out of the ballpark.
It is gone. Home run, Ronce.
And while most infields in this episode are here on the strength of one season, you simply can't ignore this group's total body of work.
They knew each other. They knew each other's range. And when you play with each other that long a period of time, they took pride in being the infield that stayed together for as long as they did.
The 1927 New York Giants set an infield for the ages, with a Hall of Famer at every position. None better than second baseman Rogers Hornsby, perhaps the greatest second sacker ever.
He was unbelievable. This is a guy who hit for power. He ran. He could field his position. He did everything well.
Bill Terry was at first, a career .341 hitter.
Bill Terry clearly is a great hitter at first base and a very good fielder as well.
Hit for pop. In the middle of the lineup, he did an excellent job and really was one of the better hitters of that era.
The left side of the infield was populated by 2 young players, Travis Jackson and Fred Lindstrom.
Travis Jackson at short, a good, solid shortstop, a good ball player.
The panic is on. Jackson's long hit to center is good for a single and a score's out.
Freddie Lindstrom was a third baseman, 21 years old, but already a 4-year veteran.
And though his career was relatively short, he sure could hit.
Collectively, they hit an astounding .328 in 27, but failed to lead the Giants to the pennant. And they were only together that year, in part because of Hornsby's combative personality.
Hornsby was such a cantankerous soul that despite hitting .360 to .380 and more in year after year after year, he played with 4 different clubs in 4 different years.
Who knows how good these Giants could have been had they kept this infield intact.
If you look at the next few years, the Giants would be runner-up in the National League, and you put Rogers Hornsby on that team, and it's easy to see where they would score enough runs to win the pennant.
So all we have is the Giants' 1927 infield, all alone as one of the best. Welcome back to Prime 9, featuring the 9 greatest infields. We've turned a double play with 9 and 8, which means it's time for number 7. Few infields could flash the leather better than the one on the 1999 New York Mets.
It was an amazing infield and a lot of fun to be a part of.
Ordonez, the shortstop, to second one, back to first, double play!
1999 was the best infield that I ever had in my career.
Robin Ventura, long throw to first!
Robin Ventura covered a lot of range and truly identified with the hot corner.
Oh, what a marvelous play by Robin Ventura.
I've seen him make some great diving plays, get up and throw some really fast runners out from his knees.
Snagged by Ventura from his knee.
John Olerud had a great ability to anticipate plays.
If you have a really good first baseman, he'll make some of your great plays even greater. And Olerud was awesome.
Nice play by Robin Ventura. Olerud did a good job of keeping his foot on that bag.
The middle infielders both led their league in fielding percentage, and they were oh so fun to watch.
Edgardo Alfonso at second base was a terrific player with range to both sides.
Diving stop by Alfonso. Out at first base. Alfonso! And he catches that!
With him in the combination, he had a shortstop and Ray Ordonez. It was just outstanding.
Ordonez, quick flip, Alfonso to first for double play!
Sometimes you got the sense with Ordonez that a glove was just an appendage, that he could have played it barehanded.
Oh, look at that pickup!
And look at Ordonez cut it off!
He was the greatest ad-lib player at any position I've ever seen.
The infield on the whole finished with an amazing .992 fielding percentage. No wonder the team allowed just 20 unearned runs all season long.
This infield, they are superb.
You got the sense you needed a cannon to get the ball through that infield. That's how good they were.
Another fine play. They will gobble up everything that's hit to them.
Best infield I've ever seen.
The 75 Reds were treading water as a .500 team until a bold move was made to change the makeup of the infield.
It was like Tuesday, and Sparky called me in the office. Pete, he says, we got to get some offense. I said, Sparky, I'm leading the league in hitting. What do you want me to do? He said, I want you to play third base. When? He said, Friday.
Rose was still Pete Rose.
Swung out a bouncing ball. Rose cuts it off. Rose to second. Boy, I'll tell you, fine play right there.
And he played the game the same way at third, as he did in the outfield.
That is bounced to third. Pete Rose makes the play. Throw to first. He got him.
With Rose firmly planted at third, the Big Red Machine went on a 41-9 tear, led in great part by its all-star infield.
The first baseman, Tony Perez.
Tony Perez was the RBI guy. He was the guy that could hit the ball. He could drive in the run.
The drive in the left center, and the Reds take the lead 3-2.
Nobody plays shortstop better than Davey Concepcion.
Davey was perfect for the Big Red Machine.
Nice play by Concepcion on the running throw.
He was really a dynamite defensive shortstop. Took a lot of chances, made a lot of good plays. Good athlete.
Off the glove of Pete Rose. Concepcion may make a play. He got him.
He was my double play partner, and we just kind of meshed so well together.
Swung on. That could be two. Morgan, Concepcion, Perez.
The second baseman, Joe Morgan.
Morgan brought it all together. He could do it all. He could field very, very well. He could hit.
Morgan, line drive, base hit right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
108 wins and a title.
And Cincinnati has won the World Championship, beating the Boston Red Sox 4-3.
That's why the 75 Reds, led by their infield, are considered to be one of the best teams ever.
Without that infield, I don't think the 75 team would be regarded as great as it really was.
That was a really good infield. I can honestly say that every single day they came to the ballpark, they came prepared to win. Welcome
back to Prime 9, featuring the best infields in the modern era. The 78 Dodgers were followed by the 27 Giants. Next came the amazing infield of the 99 Mets and the machine-like precision of the 75 Reds. So let's hit the Wayback Machine for number 5.
Who can forget the sentiments of Franklin P. Adams? Tinker to Evers to Chance.
Franklin Pierce Adams immortalized 3 men from the 1906 Cubs infield in his enduring poem, celebrating the talents of Joe Tinker at short, Johnny Evers at second, and Frank Chance at first.
Chance was a good hitting first baseman and led the National League in stolen bases a few times, and he was also the manager of those teams, known as the peerless leader.
Chance is the heart and soul of the club, so he's where you start. Tinker over at shortstop is a hustling player, good range, he's got a good arm, and he starts a lot of the Tinker to Evers to Chance double plays.
On the left are our second baseman, Johnny Evers.
Evers was a brilliant player, but he sure could hold a grudge.
He did not speak to his mate at shortstop except on the field in a necessary situation for over 20 years because of an argument the two got into over who should pay for a cab.
But they certainly made music when balls came their way.
The reputation of the group was based upon the symphonic quality. The Chicago Cubs pitchers would induce ground balls that would go through other infields.
But while this Hall of Fame trio lives on in verse, the other member of the infield has been doomed to obscurity.
Third baseman who doesn't get remembered because he wasn't in the poem was Harry Steinfeld. Cubs had acquired him from the Reds before the 1906 season.
And Steinfeld was an offensive force in an infield that helped the Cubs to a record 116 wins and a .763 winning percentage.
That infield was a very good infield. We remember them because of the poem, but they were a key part of a championship team.
Although they lost the World Series in '06, this infield was still intact for 3 more pennants and 2 fall classics. Poetic justice for Tinker and Evers and Chance.
It's fashionable today to say that they were overrated and that without Franklin P. Adams' poem, they wouldn't have made it into the Hall of Fame. We wouldn't be talking about them today. Oddly, they are better than their reputations today.
I feel I've played on the greatest infield in baseball. Greenberg, Gehringer, Rogel, and Marvin Owen.
The 1934 Detroit Tigers.
It's too bad that the age of florid sports writing is over, because we don't get nicknames like the Battalion of Death for an infield anymore.
Into the upper left field stands and listen to this Tiger crowd. Detroit again banking on its devastating power at the plate.
The right side of the infield with Hank Greenberg at first and Charlie Gehringer at second, they won their fame with their bats.
Big Hank Greenberg selecting his favorite Louisville slugger.
Just a swing, and if you happen to hit the ball in the right spot, why, you have a home run.
Greenberg hits one into the left field stand. Greenberg scoring behind Gehringer.
Gehringer was a middle-of-the-order hitter.
And Gehringer is on a spot.
One of the premier second basemen during that era. American League representative at second base in each of the first 6 All-Star games from 1933 to 38. Was a no-doubt Hall of Famer.
Greenberg and Gehringer, Hall of Famers. Rogel and Owen, good players, journeyman players, having their best seasons.
Marvin Owen, where'd you get that glove?
Owen did have a career year at third, hitting .317 while driving in 96 runs, 4 less than shortstop Billy Rogel.
The big thing about the 34 Tigers infield was there were just no soft spots in the order.
The Battalion of Death set a record for RBIs by an infield, captured the 34 pennant, and played most every game.
These 4 guys only missed 1 game combined all season.
It was an infield that changed the fortunes of a franchise.
That whole infield really contributing to a winning team. The Tigers struggled for years. Now they turn it around under these guys. It was a great story.
Where do you think the infield of the 2009 Yankees ranks?
Well, the answer is quite high on our list, as Robinson Cano, Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, and Mark Teixeira were truly one of the best.
The Yankee infield was the crux of their team. Mark Teixeira at first base, switch hitting, led the league in homers and RBIs.
What a bullet! It's a text message!
Mark won both a Silver Slugger Award in 2009 and a Gold Glove.
Very good range, throws the ball well to each position, which is rare for a first baseman.
Diving stop to second from his knees. Great play by Teixeira.
When you look at your second baseman, he's supposed to be
fleet of foot and be able to make all the plays. Well, Robinson Cano does that with an arm that a third baseman or a shortstop might envy.
Cano, good defensive play at second.
And then you throw the offense in there, and that takes it to a whole nother level.
Cano had a stellar year at the plate, and in concert with Jeter, they became the first pair of middle infielders to each have 200 hits in a season.
Jeter at age 35 became a better shortstop.
A pretty play by Derek Jeter.
Jeet's one of the best shortstops in the game. Guy that could change the game just from making plays, making acrobatic plays.
Derek won his 4th Gold Glove and finished 3rd in voting for the MVP.
He had a great year and doing it at the same time, breaking Lou Gehrig's record.
For 72 years, Lou Gehrig has been the Yankees' all-time hits leader. Now, it's Derek Jeter.
He's a hit machine, and as a captain, the epitome of what the Yankees stand for. And then I'm the last guy. They carry me around.
Alex Rodriguez, his first swing back, a 3-run home run.
It sure helps when you have one of the best to ever play the game.
You know, Alex is a vital part of our team. You put him in the middle of that lineup, he's as dangerous as anyone in baseball.
As he showed in just 1 inning on the season's final day.
There it goes! See ya! Grand slam! And he has 100 runs batted in. 7 RBIs in the 6th inning for Alex Rodriguez.
In a couple of years, we could find out that might be a Hall of Fame infield.
No question. Just don't ask the captain.
Yeah, I don't sit around here and try to rank teams or rank infields. I know we were the best last season because we won a championship.
We now return to Prime 9, where this week we're featuring the best infields in the modern era of baseball. It sure helped if all 4 of them stayed together for some time, but our focus on this show is what they did in one truly special season. So now it's time for numbers 1 and 2. Best infields to take the field since 1901. We begin with number 2.
82 infield.
We got Cecil at first, and Gander, and Robin, and myself. So you put us all together, we played great defense.
This Brew Crew leads the American League in twin killings.
We took pride in our defense, but, you know, we certainly enjoyed the offensive side of the game.
The Brewers infield was the core of Harvey's Wallbangers, the Major League's highest scoring team.
They are an awesome hitting ball club.
Pitching to Cooper, Mauder, and Yount to start a game off. You were lucky if you weren't down by some margin already in the 1st inning.
Go, ball, go! Go!
If there's anyone who would describe our Brewer offense, it would be, how about just the best?
We started with the igniter, as Paul Molitor was our leadoff hitter, and a very aggressive style.
Paul Molitor has probably made more things happen for this Milwaukee ball club than anybody.
You had Cecil Cooper, one of the best hitters in the league at the time.
Cecil Cooper comes to the plate. Wow, what a big hit by Cecil!
And then Jim Gantner was kind of the unsung hero of the group.
A guy who knew how to battle and have a game plan every day. And at the bottom of the lineup, he could produce a lot of runs.
Gantner strikes! He's safe!
Well, the most famous Brewer of them all, Robin Yount.
Baseball's premier shortstop.
The first full-time AL shortstop to lead the league in both slugging and total bases.
Robin Yount does it again.
The ball just jumped off his bat that year. It was an MVP year.
Hear the crowd? MVP.
Robin did win the MVP award in '82 and was one of 3 Brewer infielders who finished the year with more than 200 hits, a season that saw Milwaukee go to its only World Series in franchise history.
The Brewers have won the American League pennant!
That was the heart and soul of the Milwaukee Brewers in that day. There were 4 great players. They were perfect for Milwaukee in every way.
But there was no better infield than that of the 1913 Philadelphia Athletics, an infield so good they had an expensive nickname.
They have the $100,000 infield.
And that enormous sum in 1913 featured Stuffy McInnes, Eddie Collins, Jack Barry, and Frank Baker. But the nickname was not based on their collective salaries.
Connie Mack threw nickels around as if they were manhole covers. They were paid nothing close to that.
Connie Mack said that he would not sell that group of players, even for $100,000.
But there was no way to calculate their value to the A's, starting with 2 Hall of Famers.
We remember Frank Baker now more for his nickname, Home Run Baker.
He got the name Home Run in the 1911 World Series after he hit home runs in consecutive games off 2 Hall of Famers. He also led the American League in homers in 4 straight seasons.
At second base, you had Eddie Collins. I would argue that Eddie Collins is still the greatest second baseman baseball has ever seen.
He was a tremendous percentage player. He got on base. He was very good at stealing bases. He was very good defensively. Eddie Collins was as complete a player as you were going to find in baseball in that era. And then they also had 2 very good players in Jack Barry and Stuffy McInnis.
Every member of that infield was in the top 9 for MVP. No wonder they worked so well together.
Those guys were known to be a very tight bunch in terms of being able to not let a lot of balls go through, turning double play, and talking to each other. They were actually the first infield that really believed in communicating verbally in a way that hadn't been done before, in a way that's very common now.
The slugging percentage of the 1913 A's infield was off the charts compared to the rest of the league, and they finished with the 4 highest RBI totals on the team.
There's no question the A's had the very best infield in baseball history.
They were so successful from 1911 through 1914
that they helped the A's win 3 pennants and 2 World Series, something no money could buy.
It's one thing to give a group of players a catchy, flashy nickname. It's another for those players to live up to that nickname, as the Philadelphia Athletics infield certainly did.
As we mentioned at the outset, we did not include catchers in our roll call of the greatest infields. But had we, there would have been some serious rearranging to do. For instance, the 34 Tigers had Mickey Cochran behind the plate.
Tigers are all in shape and ready to go.
That could have bumped them up from number 4. And if you put a Met in the mix...
Hi, this is Mike Piazza, catcher of the New York Mets.
Their 99 infield would not have finished 7th.
Piazza has done it time and time again.
Finally, with all due apologies to the 1913 A's, number 1 on our list, if you add Johnny Bench to the 75 Reds...
Bench's draw right on the button.
Well, that infield then becomes something akin to a machine, one that would probably motor its way right to the top.
Sit over here, John. He's smart.
Well, that's our Prime 9. What's yours?